Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. I don't know about you, but over the last few years I've developed a bit of a problem. I have become a serial flipper of watches. Now by that I do not mean that I buy Rolex for retail and then sell them the next day for a huge amount of profit. You know who you are. I just mean that despite my best intentions, I struggle to hang on to watches for a reasonable duration of time. Case in point, I have now bought 3 Oris Diver 65 and sold 3 Oris Diver 65, and I'm eyeing up a 4th. What is wrong with me? I can, however, state with 100% confidence that I will not be flipping the Dekla on my wrist today. Why is that? Well, it's because I got them to custom print the channel logo on the dial. One way of doing it, personalize a watch. You saw the pop-up, I'm sure. This video is sponsored by Dekla. I am definitely not sending this watch back after the review has finished. I'm a big fan of the brand. I reviewed one of their Flieger watches last year and I included it in my top 10 pilots watches under $500 a couple of weeks ago. 2 main reasons I like them. The first is they make everything in-house. The cases, the dials, the hands, pretty much the lot. Following on from that, there is an incredible level of customization possible. You really are pretty much designing your own bespoke watch, taking 4 to 5 weeks for them to manufacture it and then deliver it to you. For example, the Turbulenz model that I'm going to review today, you can pick from no less than 6 different colors of second hand. And ask them nicely and pay a small fee and they will custom print the dial for you because they make the dials in-house. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. Alright, let's start with a brief, and I really will try to be brief, look at the Dekla website. I will obviously leave a link to this one in the description of the video. Even if you're not keen to pick up one of these, I highly recommend having a look at their website, tinkering around and custom speccing a few watches just to see how incredibly versatile a company can be in their offerings if they manufacture everything in-house. Everything from a single source, that's their motto, and they really do mean it. Now, I looked at a pilot's watch last year. They do 40s, 42s, 44s. You can have an A, a B, old radium style, bronze case, a whole bunch of different options there. Today it's what they call a tactical watch, and I wouldn't necessarily call it a tactical watch. I would be more inclined to call it a modern pilot's watch, very much along the lines of a Damasco or a Zen 556 for example. You're not short of options with this one either though. 6 different colours of second hand as mentioned. There's about 5 different dial colours you can go for as well. There's a bead blasted case. You can opt for their 6 steel case like I did. You can opt for a lefty and DLC, righty and DLC, whatever you want, it's available for you. Standard movement is a Salita 200, or you can opt for an ETA 2892 at an additional cost. Do bear in mind though, it's like buying a car. Once you start ticking the options boxes, the price can creep upwards. If you unspec all of the options and just go for the base model, you should be expecting to pay around 565 USD. I think that's perfectly reasonable given how much of this is manufactured in-house. It's basically your own custom spec watch for under 600 bucks. 2-year warranty on all of these, and they come in a very pleasant wooden box. Maybe you remember that from the Flieger that I reviewed last year. And contained within the box is my own little vanity exercise. My desperate attempt to stop me from flipping watches. Now that is the stock strap. I only have a couple of moans and 1 word of warning for you towards the end of the video. One of my moans is about the standard strap. It's not bad, it's just not my personal cup of tea. I am a sucker for cross-stitched vintage style Halloween, so I swapped it out for one of those. Hey, it's a personalised watch, why couldn't I personalise the strap as well? So it is a fairly simple and straightforward watch, so hopefully this should be a fairly simple and straightforward video from this point forth. Classic dimensions 40-20, so 40mm in diameter and 20mm lug width. Do bear in mind if you have a bigger wrist or you prefer a bigger watch, there is a 42mm option available. 11.5mm thick, 47mm lug tip to lug tip. Now on this Jody supplied Horween, definitely not the stock strap. This one weighs in at just under 90 grams. I believe the head of the watch is just under 70, so it's going to be about that weight regardless of what you put it on. Now I did tick one options box. I went for the 6 steel. This is their own proprietary stainless steel coating, hardened with carbon, apparently 6 times harder than stainless steel, so you are unlikely to scratch this one. 1200 on the Vickers score as it is advertised on the case back. Bead blasted finish though, visually indistinguishable from the standard known 6 steel version that they offer. Double dome sapphire crystal with just a little bit of doming there. There is some anti-reflective undercoating on the underside. There you are, just a touch of doming. Nice piece of glass, you can barely see it from most angles. That to me anyway is the key mark of a good piece of glass, the fact that you can't see it. Super simple bead blasted case, bead blasted bezel and bead blasted crown. Now there is some type of jet fighter on the crown. They call this one a tactical watch, like I said, but I would be calling it a pilot's watch, and I imagine most of you would too. Now it is a fairly simple bead blasted screw on stainless steel case back. Screw on case back, screw down crown, 200 meters of water resistance, 20 bar. Now Turbulenz, the model name, I'm guessing that's some kind of Turbulenz pattern, manufactured in Stuttgart, and the sapphire glass and that 1200 Vickers rating. Now apparently these case backs are also single head engraved. They take up to 40 minutes to engrave, so it looks fairly simple, but like I said, everything done very, very nicely by Dekla. Did I mention that they regulate the movements themselves in-house? Well, they do. To plus or minus 7 seconds per day, this one coming in pretty much spot on with a very healthy amplitude, 0 beat error. It's a Salita 200, so a 26 joule hacking and hand winding, bidirectional winding, Swiss-made auto, running at 28,800 vibrations per hour. Fine set of numbers. And the all-printed dial is incredibly crisp and legible. I opted for the baton version. There are a couple with Arabic numerals, but I thought the batons was the cleanest of the looks, especially as I was going to slap the Just One More Watch channel logo above the double baton at 6. So double batons at the 12, the 3, the 6 and the 9, single batons at the other hour markers and minute markers in between. Dekla logo above the pinion, channel vanity exercise below the pinion, and that is pretty much it. Big fat set of white sword hands. I opted for that red second hand just to add a little something something, and I love the fact that they have a blacked out counterbalance. It makes them look like they're floating on top of that matte black dial. The only other printing on the dial is made in Deutschland in white, just underneath the batons at 6. I don't think I've ever spent this brief a period discussing the dial on a watch. That's pretty much all there is to it. It's supposed to be legible, and it certainly is legible. And in spite of the fact that everything is printed on, there is heaps of lume here. I opted for the BGW9 version this time. There is a C3 old radium style if you want to go super vintage, but I thought the clean modern look should have clean modern and super bright lume. Now, unlumed second hand, you only get lume on the hour hand, the minute hand, and on all of those printed areas of the dial, apart from the channel logo unfortunately, but the lume is amazing. End of the 20-minute period and it's still glowing like a wee torch. And that's it on wrist. 40-20 is definitely a bit of a sweet spot for me. This one sitting flat, no protrusion from the case back. Now clearly I have kind of dressed it up a touch using that Horbean. I will show you it on the supplied strap. It would be rude not to. It's not a bad strap, it's handmade in Germany and it has a Dekla branded bead blasted buckle and tang to match the rest of it. I just felt it was a little bit thick and I like a bit of taper. There's no taper on this one, it's 20 all the way around. Overhead legibility is fantastic, whether you want to turn this one a pilot's watch or a tactical watch. Both of those styles should have fantastic legibility and it certainly does. Same outside and natural light this one, all dial, giant hands, white on black indices, super legible. Of course you could match this one with a single pass NATO or a NATO or a bit of canvas and calf or a Zulu or something if you did want to go for a more tactical look. This one I think will be a great winter watch for me, hence the kind of warm tones of that brown Horbean strap. So I've already had a moan about the stock strap. It's just a bit too big, a bit too bulky for my personal taste. What else am I going to complain about? Well, as mentioned, if you start taking the options box, if you go for the 2892 with the display case back and the 6 steel case, perhaps adding a sunburst dial on there for good measure, you are looking towards $1,000 rather than the $565 starting price. So do bear that in mind. And no bracelet option. I talked about the Damasco and the Zin 556. Both of them have bracelet options, so again, have a good think. If you're okay with a strap or you prefer a watch and a NATO or something anyway, it isn't going to be an issue. But if you insist on a bracelet, well, Dekla, just don't do one, I'm afraid. And just one other final word of warning. If you do opt for their customized dial service and get your name or your pet's name or your signature or whatever it may be printed on the dial in a desperate attempt to stop you from flipping the watch in the years to come. If you do decide to flip the watch in the years to come, don't be surprised if you don't get much of your money back, because that personalization feature might not be as relevant to other people as it is to you. But I still think it's a pretty good tactic to help dissuade serial flipping. So there you have it, the Dekla Turbulenz V3. They call it a tactical watch. I think most people would probably call this one a pilot's watch. I highly recommend checking out their website, even if you're not interested in buying it. But if you are interested in picking up a fully customizable, basically tailor-made to you, an entirely in-house German pilot's watch, these are cracking value for money, sitting around $550 US. I can't think of another company that does that much in-house and builds them to order for that amount of money. And if you don't want to flip it, then slap something of relevance on the dial. Thank you for watching. I will see you all in a future video.